Hi guys, today I want to share with you 12 tips for working from home. So if you happen to be among those people who have the chance to work from home, then I hope that these tips will help you to still stay productive, have relatively low stress, and also some fun while working from home. So let's get right into it. In no particular order, here are 12 tips for working from home. Number 1 is to set up a work schedule, which means that it's a good idea to plan in advance at what time precisely you will start to work and at what time you will end. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be the same schedule every day, because I think that when you're working from home, you need to be, and you can also afford to be, more flexible. You can adjust it on a daily basis according to your needs and what works best. But the important thing here is that you plan it in advance. Let's say, for example, that on Mondays you schedule your work day to start at 9 a.m. and finish at 5 p.m. But on Tuesdays, it could be different. Let's say that every Tuesday you plan to spend more time with your kids in the morning, so you start your work day at 11 a.m. and you finish at 7 p.m. That's also an alternative. The important thing is that you plan it in advance so you can fit all the building blocks, all the different things that you need to do in your personal life and in your work life into that day. Number 2 is to create work spots. What this means is that not everyone has a dedicated room in their house to make it a home office. If you do, then that's great. Like, that's the ideal situation. But there are many people, on the other hand, like me, who don't have as much room and have to make everything work within a smaller space. But it doesn't mean that you can't have a dedicated workspace. Before I continue, here's a question for you. What do you feel are your biggest challenges in working from home? Please let me know in the comments below. Even within a small area or a small room, you can pick one dedicated corner that you assign as your workspace. Pick a space or a corner of the room that you feel is conducive in terms of lighting, in terms of comfort, and maybe also allows you to open the window for some fresh air according to your preferences. And also, don't hesitate to move around some furniture. If the only place where you think you can work comfortably is, for example, your kitchen, then make the kitchen your dedicated workspace. So when you work, just work in the kitchen. Don't work in the living room or work in the bedroom. By doing that, you create a separate space between work and your personal life and don't get everything mixed up together. What you want to avoid, for example, if you're working on your laptop, is that you keep moving your workspace around. You take your laptop to the living room, work there, and then you move it at night to the bedroom, continue work there, and in the morning you take it to the kitchen, and so on and so on. You got my point. Because what that does is that it mixes your personal life and your work life together. And the danger of that is that you will feel like you never have a break from work because everything is mixed up all the time. By the way, in case you're new to this channel, I make videos on career change and multiple careers. And one of my goals is that I want to try to help people to shape the kind of career that is best for their life and that they really want. So if this is something that might interest you, then you might want to subscribe and also hit the little notification bell so that YouTube will notify you when there are new videos from me. Number 3 is to stock up on office supplies. Get all the things ready that you think you will need to work productively. May that be paper or maybe pens or maybe some toner for the printer. You don't want to be in the middle of your work and then realize that you're out of toner. And also try to find out beforehand from your company that you're working for what items you can get reimbursed. Because if you add up everything in the end, it can amount to quite a lot. Also think of any other things that you might need to purchase that supports your work. For example, you might need a better chair, or maybe not a chair, but even just add some chair pads, or even just a new desk lamp if you've decided that you want to work at night. By the way, in case you're enjoying this video so far, then please do give it a thumbs up. That would really mean a lot to me. Number 4 is to start a routine, a morning routine in particular. It doesn't need to be anything elaborate. You don't need to get into a suit, but you just need a simple routine, some fixed steps that you take each morning to signal to yourself and to your brain that, okay, now it's time to start working. Several things among many things that are part of my morning routine are to get a cup of coffee and do planks, brush my teeth, but most importantly, change my clothes. So if you're working from home, I would definitely suggest that you get out of those pajamas and into something else. It doesn't need to be a shirt or a blazer. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. The point is just that it's a good idea to not continue wearing your sleepwear, but get into something else, change into something else. Because by doing that, you will kind of shift into a different mode, from a more sleepy and perhaps a bit more lazy mood into a working mode. And the other important benefit of doing this is when you're working from home, sometimes you have these unannounced conference calls. You know what I mean. So what you want to avoid is that someone suddenly calls you, or perhaps even your boss, and you are still in your pajamas, and then you scramble and try to find something to wear. So I think that by changing into different clothes, even just a fresh t-shirt or a nice hoodie, that will make you feel more ready for work. Number 5 is setting breaks. This is so important. I've been spending a lot of time at home working on my YouTube channel and my blog, and I know exactly what it's like. Sometimes it's hard to get started, but once you're in the flow, working on video editing, on writing, or whatever other work that you do, then sometimes it can even be really hard to get out of it. And if you haven't determined when you want to have a break, it might not happen at all. So many times I just work for hours and hours, and suddenly I've been working 4 or 5 hours non-stop, and all of a sudden I felt so tired. So now what I always do is I set breaks. I either set myself an alarm, or I simply remind myself that at 12:30 or at 1 p.m. I will have lunch. Even if it's just a 10-minute break, I will have a short break. And what I also like to do afterwards is just to take a short walk outside to get some fresh air, to get my mind going again, to avoid getting sleepy, and so on. Number 6 is to create work hygiene. And what I mean by this is not washing your hands or using sanitizer, although you should also do that. But what I mean by that is that you need to have a clear separation between work and your private life. There is a really big temptation when you're at home to work all the time. I know there are people who do the opposite, who do not work at all when they're working from home, but there are also many people, and I think this is the majority, who feel like they need to be working all the time. Some people wake up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and they think that they need to be on it right away, and then they work their way through all the way until 8 p.m., 9 p.m. That's really not good at all, because in the long term, you will burn out. So you need to set times where you are off work. And this is much more than a break. A break is maybe just 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or half an hour. But what I mean is that you need to set hours where you are really off from work. It can be, for example, after 5 p.m. that you just turn off your messaging app, you don't check your emails, or it could also be in between. Could be also the case that you start working at 8 a.m. till 1 p.m. and then you really stay away from work for 3 hours, let's say, and do something else. For example, take a walk with your dog, or play with your kids, spend some time with your spouse, or whatever it is that you want to do. And it's going to be different for each and every person. So it's really important for you yourself to determine what is optimal for you. How much time do you need to be away from work? Because I think that for every person, there's an optimal time, an optimal amount of time during which they will be productive. And if you go over that limit, then you will just spend more time on it, but you're not really doing anything either. Number 7, and this is one of my favorite tips, is to stock up on pantry items. If previously you've been working in an office or where you have coffee machines and you have snacks and maybe drinks, fruit, etc., then that might be something that you'll miss when you're at home, because perhaps your fridge is empty, you don't have anything to eat or snack. So I would highly recommend to stock up on your favorite snacks and drinks. That could be coffee, tea, milk, almond milk, oat milk, or anything else that you need to create your perfect kind of coffee. And also snacks. Make sure that you have your favorite chocolates, or even better, fruits available, ready in your fridge. So anytime when you feel that you need a break and your blood sugar level is low and you need to munch on something, you just need to walk over to the kitchen for a few steps and you have your bananas, apples, apples, pears, etc. ready. Number 8 is to announce your work schedule to your family. The reason why this is important is so that they can also play their role in supporting you doing your work. For example, if you tell them that you need some quiet time between, let's say, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. because you're working on some proposals, or you're doing something that requires high concentration, they can help you by keeping the noise level down. Or if you have kids, for example, you can get them to stay occupied with something else, a puzzle or whatever. Or for example, if you have a video call scheduled every morning at 10 a.m., then it's a really good idea to announce that, tell everyone in your household about that, so that when you're in the middle of the video call, people will not be just suddenly walking around behind you.
What will it mean for the wider region? I think one of your children has just walked in.
I would be surprised if they do. Pardon me.
Number 9 is get fresh air. I mentioned this before, this is part of taking a break, but here specifically, I think it's important to actually go out of your room, out of your office, out of your house, and breathe in some fresh air. Because you don't necessarily notice it, but after a while inside, after 3 or 4 hours, it can get really stuffy, and the oxygen level might also be quite low. And I notice this every time once I've spent more than 4 or 5 hours inside, I lose a bit of my concentration. And then what I do is I simply step out, sometimes even just for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I just walk around a bit, and after that, I feel so much more refreshed. Number 10 is to over-communicate about your work. When you were still working at the office, meeting people face to face, it might be much easier to communicate what you're trying to do, what you need from the other person, also to collaborate and work things out. But once everyone is at home and working remotely, it might be a tad more difficult to communicate, especially if some of the people are not really used to it yet. So there might be a potential for miscommunication, misunderstandings to happen in terms of who is, for example, responsible for what, who is in the middle of doing what. So I think it's a really good idea to be proactive in this case and talk it through. Take some time to call up your colleague or chat with them to really clarify, hey, I'm doing this and this and this. This is my timeline. These are my challenges, and so on. So try not to keep it to yourself, but put it out there and communicate it. Number 11, and this is related to the fun aspect of working at home, is to try to create the ideal atmosphere for you to work. This means to think of all the things that could make your working experience even better, that could make it less stress and more fun. If you feel that you need a pair of headphones so you can cancel out the noise from outside and it doesn't cost that much, then go ahead and get it. And also think about music. Think about it consciously. What kind of music gets you into a working mode? I have different kind of music playlists or music types that I listen to depending what I'm doing. Also think about lighting. If you feel that you're not getting enough sunlight, then you might just want to move your desk over to the window so that you get more light. What's important here is to try to create a nice ambience. Instead of being stuck to your work desk in your office, which might feel constrained and uncomfortable, get a bit creative. Design your workspace in a way that makes it fun and relaxing and just nice to work at. Number 12 is end of day routine. And I think that this might be the most important thing of all. I already mentioned it briefly before, but here I really want to emphasize the importance of having an end day routine. There has to be a time in the day where you shut down your laptop, or you log out of your email, or you sign out of your messenger, or you put the status on away or whatever. Some steps, some routine that signals to yourself that, okay, today I finished the work, all the things that I've scheduled that I wanted to get done today. If there's anything that I haven't finished today, I will note it down and I will assign it to get it done on another day. But today I've done my work, I've finished, and that's it. When you're working at an office, it's much easier to have a closing or an end of day routine, which is simply that you shut down your computer or your laptop or whatever, and you get out of the building and you go home, and that's it. Perhaps after that, some people might still contact you, but your brain already kind of registered that, okay, actually this is past work time. I don't need to be as alert. But if you're at home and you leave everything on and you're still in work mode, then it's really difficult to shut off. And in the long term, it will affect you. It will burn you out. I hope this video was useful to you. Please share it with your friends and family and anyone else who you think could benefit from it. As always, I thank you so much for watching, especially to those of you who watched this video to the very end. I wish you an awesome day, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you again soon.